Hey, what's going on with everybody? It's Sunday, episode 106 with Mark Uzansky and Dave Friedman of Tone Talk. Hope you're all doing great. Got an awesome guest today. We've got Johan Segeborn. 106 with Mark Uzansky and Dave Friedman of Tone Talk. Hope you're all doing great. What did I do? Got an awesome guest today. We've got Johan Segeborn.
You have the...
Man, I am just all messed up today.
It's Sunday, that's why.
Jesus Christ. I am all messed up. So sorry about that, Johan. How are you,
problem. I'm fine. I'm fine, thanks. I've looked forward to this.
Yeah,
I love the show.
Oh, thanks, man. Love your show too. Your show is it's so entertaining.
Oh yeah, it's the place you go to figure out which speakers you like, which amps you like.
That's very it.
Totally.
You don't have, thank you for. I don't have to do it myself.
It's my pleasure. I'll take one for the team.
Yeah, we'll get into all the your experiments and gear tests and everything and tone discussions and everything on your channel. It's freaking awesome. I love it. I also want to mention for everybody who's joining and that this month at Sweetwater, who's sponsoring our video today, and also we're an affiliate for Sweetwater. So if you click down below any of our videos, you'll have a link that provides you an affiliate link, which gives us a little kickback to the channel, and anything you buy there will give us a little bit for the channel for us to pay for expenses like our podcast and stuff like that. So they're having Guitar Month, which means that it's not just guitar. It's other pieces of gear that are related to guitar, like pedals and stuff like that. So they're having exclusives, financing, and certain deals that you guys can do. So I'm going to share my screen and let's see if this works. So you guys can see.
Well, so far today it probably won't, but
yeah,
exactly. It works.
Did it work? Oh my, yeah. Okay. So yeah, so here you can see that they've got certain exclusives and some hot deals that they have on gear, and then zero interest. But anyway, so anything you want to add, Dave?
We're still waiting for that person to use our link to buy a Bricasti reverb.
Please? Yeah, that would be awesome. Actually, if they have
how about some of my amps or pedals?
Actually, we've sold a bunch of your amps. Actually,
yeah,
I've seen that, but they have some exclusives here and some guitars, and the Neural DSP, which I haven't tried yet.
Oh, it's quite good.
That's what I hear. So all kinds of stuff. The J Rocket Archer. Okay, this is what I was talking about. I called about this. I'm interested in this, which this is an exclusive right now that they have with the Jeff Beck boost. This is a certain mod that Jeff Beck did to the Archer. And it's exclusive to Sweetwater. So you guys should definitely click the link, because I know I'm actually gonna buy this. So yeah, it's a cool pedal, and J Rocket makes great stuff too. So anyway, Sweetwater, go check out all their gear. All right, and
see what's on sale and buy something.
Exactly.
Buy something you probably don't need.
I actually have to sell more of my comic stuff. Now's the time. I have to sell all that stuff.
More comic stuff to buy more gear.
No, probably to do some stuff to the house, actually. So, but Johan, and that's how he pronounces his name. I want people to know. Johan.
Yeah, correct.
So are you 6 hours ahead right now?
Yeah, 6 hours ahead to the East Coast.
Okay.
So it's 7 o'clock in the evening here.
And you're in Sweden.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Gothenburg at the West Coast in Sweden.
Yeah, we were talking yesterday or the other day, and I was asking him, I said, is there a lot of gear there?
Yeah.
Because he seems to have a plethora of gear to go through. And yeah, sure enough, he said that there's a lot of gear in Sweden.
Yeah, we have a great music community, both when it comes to studios and vendors and the music culture in general. There are lots of bands and has been. I mean, even since the 60s, there has been music schools and stuff, and you know, rehearsal spaces where people can hire rooms. So there's lots of Swedish bands, and I think Sweden is probably the density of marshals is probably the highest in Sweden of all countries. When I and marshals are actually a bit cheaper here than in the rest of the world as well. So it's kind of paradise for someone with my proclivities.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah, that's not, why do you think that is? Why was there a lot of marshals that went over to Sweden?
I don't know. I think it's the fact that there has been lots of public rehearsal spaces that has been available. So many bands and many of them have been furnished with amps available. I think that's part of it. And then in the 90s, and there has been some musicians that has been very prominent. For instance, the bands like Soundtrack of Our Lives and the Hives and so on. There is a lot of collectors in the country, and that has led to this big community of people that has really lots of knowledge and lots of stuff. And if you learn, you get to know someone, and they have some friends, and you get to know them too, and people are very kind and is lending stuff. So that's one of the reasons why there is so much stuff on the channel. Most of it is not mine.
Right.
That would be a logistical impossibility. But actually almost half of all videos comes from Simon's store. He has a store called the Musikbörsen here in Gothenburg. It's actually on the, you can see it from here. Actually, it's on the other side of the river here in Gothenburg, and they both buy and sell amps, and they have an amazing flow of interesting gear there. So Simon was actually in the other room mixing here, so we can have a chat with him also later on, because he knows a lot more than I about that stuff, and he probably has some fun stories about it as well.
That's cool. Dave, have you been to Sweden?
No, never been.
Yeah, neither have I. Haven't made it that way. So I hear it's beautiful, but
absolutely. And I also hear don't go in the winter.
No, you have small space in the summer.
Yes.
That's great. We have a super chat. Let me get to it right away. From Sweaty Van Halen.
All right.
Dave, I own a small box and a Dirty Shirley 40 and have been eyeing a BE 100 Deluxe for more modern tones. Will I notice a big difference between the BE and the small box?
I mean, it'll have some similarities. It's a bigger power section. It's bigger iron. You can do more things with it with the switches that are on it. You're capable of getting heavier sounds than the small box has. But there's still going to be a common DNA there for sure.
Cool. This is a nice comment. Chandler Motorsports. Johan, thanks so much for the contribution to tone chasing. You really opened my eyes to the importance of speakers and how important a real mic pre is. You're a great player too.
Thanks. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's great. So how'd you start your channel? How'd that all start for you?
I've always I've always been interested to compare stuff because it's the memory, sound memory is about 3 seconds or something like that. So the only way to really compare stuff is to put it back to back and to sequence it in different ways. So I've always done that in some way myself, and I have friends. Ragnar Christensson, for instance, that's on the channel. He did that also before the channel started, and he has been a big contributor to the channel as well. So we always done stuff like that. So it's when I met Simon Karlsson the first time, he worked at Then 4 Sound. Now he has his own store instead. But we started. I started borrowing stuff from him. I think one of the first things was I did a bunch of basses that I borrowed and recorded. And the cool thing is that when there is kind of a community that grows out of a thing like this, because I do the demonstrations and I don't comment much on it. So that there are other people that watches, and so that there is a big community in the comments at my channel. So there people come up with both ideas and discuss the stuff, and that leads to new ideas, and then we make a video out of that. And then maybe someone sees that and calls me in Sweden and says, I have this stuff here. Do you want to demonstrate that? Yeah, I do. And then I meet them and we do a video, and it kind of grows like that. And that's one of the main reasons why I usually don't comment on what I think in the videos, because it's always better if someone else. Then if I would comment stuff on the channel, then the comments would be on my comments rather on the phenomenon that you discuss. So I think that's how it all started, and it has been on that route. And then when it comes to evaluating things, I'm not trustworthy. I kind of always think the latest stuff that I have played is the greatest thing in the world, almost always. And then the day after, I find something that's the greatest thing in the world again. So it's don't trust me. So you're gonna have to. You need to put the stuff into context, and almost all stuff is really interesting and great if you put it in the right context and in the right order also. So it's the comments are extremely important to my channel, and I've gotten many of the ideas from there and from other people.
I would imagine, all different experiments, different comparisons. People's ideas are really helpful.
Yeah,
I love the video where you had I think a newer greenback speaker, and you wanted to see how long it would take to blow it up.
It lasted surprisingly long.
It lasted a really long time. And that's been my experience too with those speakers. They don't tend to blow up easily.
No, it started smelling. So I don't want to set off the fire alarm. It's going to be hard to explain to the fire department that I did it on purpose.
Right.
But otherwise, I would. It would be interesting if you had access to some parking lot or something like that. You could try it and see how long, what actually happens when it breaks. I guess it's the coil that's burning in the gap, and then it just rips the cone. That happens from time to time with the other speakers, but no.
Interesting. Yeah.
Those speakers generally are really tough.
I've never blown a speaker. So,
well, the funny thing is, we had a problem with the G12M Creamback speaker from Celestion in our combo amps. If people play them really loud, they tend to blow.
Okay.
And that's with a, well, I mean, realistically, it's probably a 60-watt amp. They tend to blow. They don't tend to blow in closed back or cabinets. It's just more the open back.
So the closed back 1x12 is fine.
Yeah, the closed back. I've never seen one blow in one of our 112s. I just have seen it happen in our combos. So we switched speakers because we couldn't have that anymore. But it's funny. I bet a greenback would last longer. And it's a 25-watt speaker.
I've heard that those Alnicos, what are 15 watt or something like that. They can take a lot of punishment. The Celestion Alnicos that.
The Alnico
Vox had. No, the
20 watt, the blues.
The 60s ones, the blues, yeah. Maybe not the new one, but the old ones. I've seen people play 50 watt plexi into one of those, and it lasted for a long time.
Oh God!
So don't do it, but I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh God! Yeah, we wound up using in the combos the red back now. So good luck trying to blow that up.
The 150 watt or something like that.
Yeah, it's a good sounding speaker though.
Yeah,
is it heavy? Is it a heavy speaker?
It's not that heavy. No.
Same as J12H. So it's the 50 ounce magnet.
Yeah.
On those two.
Yeah,
I like that one too.
It does sound good no matter what. I mean, no matter what you say, I think it's a good sounding speaker.
Yeah.
That's cool. Alex 2112. Johan, love your demos. Was there ever a Marshall amp you didn't like?
Thanks. Glad to hear it. I no, not really actually. Because the only I remember those that there was one line. What are they called? Solid state amps. Now, of course, I don't remember what it's called. FX or something like that. I had to play it really loud it felt kind of artificial in some way. But it's usually amps that really tries too hard to help the player. It sounds good but kind of compressed and all that. So that's MGFX, I think they call it MG.
Oh yeah.
I got good sounds out of it eventually by turning it way up, but it was. I think it's when amps try too hard to make it easy to play. A good amp should have to struggle a little bit with it. So that's I think that's the only one that I was skeptical of. They have done great products throughout the years. I even like the Artiste from the early 70s that most people hate. I think it's a great cool sounding amp.
Yeah, they've definitely made some great amps over the years. There's no doubt about it. I mean, one amp that was like a sleeper was the Vintage Modern.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was a good amp.
Yeah, I heard that was, I played it before, and they can still be had for pretty good money, those amps, for pretty cheap.
It's hit and miss. There's some things in there for me that weren't great. I mean, the JCM 900 series I could do without. Everything up to the 800 series is pretty good, although the 2-channel 800 is a little questionable.
I prefer the 2203 and 2242. I think the 2-channel you can get good early Metallica tones with those amps through. So it's a special. I think it's a good early thrash metal tone from those that you really can't get anywhere else. But otherwise, they're kind of mushy in the gain. I think. I would very much prefer to have the 2204 and add some gain to it with a pedal instead.
Yeah.
Then vintage modern, I also think it's a great amp, but the high gain channel, I think the vintage channel on that one is really good.
Yeah.
Then people have different opinions about the reverb in the. I think it's very dark. So it's kind of. I kind of like that reverb because of that, because you can't hear it, but it just kind of cuts the sound. 900 is I also prefer 800 to 900.
Yeah.
But I think the one big difference there is that you often associate 800 to G65 and 900 to a G12T75. So it's much more than that, of course, when it comes to circuit and so on. But that's a big part of it. The speakers that makes those
Sure.
feel
It's a
different.
big filter.
Yeah. I think Johan's. Are you there, Johan?
Yeah, indeed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You locked up there just for a second.
All right.
We've got a super chat from Tyler Bertan. Thank you for the super chat. Dave just picked up a JJ Jr. and absolutely love it. When are we getting Cantrell on the show, though? That would be killer.
Yeah, we're going to work on that. So,
yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll have more years to do the show. So we'll keep building up to it.
Save some good ones for later. Otherwise, we're going to run out.
Yeah. Eventually, we'll hopefully we'll get him on the show. I'd like to get him and the singer on. I forgot his name now.
Oh, William.
Yeah. And I agree with this. Wendell laughing. Yuan's channel is pure gold. It's always full watch and thumbs up. Continue being awesome, sir.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Great to hear it.
And so, what do you think of the 900 SLX, Marshall?
Better than the other 900.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll just stay with JMP 2203 and before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not even the 800 series. I would prefer the what he has in right behind him.
Yeah,
that
this is
before.
Best one ever to me.
But I mean, it's a the funny thing is I remember when the 800s were a new thing and really at that time they were kind of known as not good.
Right.
People preferred the earlier amps, and then they became this legendary thing. But there was a time when I remember specifically this time when the Transformers are okay. They're not great. They're not not as good as even the Transformers in that amp. I don't know.
I think this one has a lower B plus voltage than the I think than the 800s.
The 50s did. The 50 watt 2204 of that era had a very low B plus. It was like 380 volts around. I personally, I don't care for those. I would prefer the higher 430 to 450. So an 850 I prefer to the earlier one, but the low voltage ones, they can be made to sound okay if you boost the voltages across the preamp section to more what you would see if the transformer was higher, but I don't know. I'm not the lower B plus voltage just sounds kind of mushy and fuzzy to me.
Yeah, it's because in the early 80s when you want to palm mute, that hard rock style, I think 800 is better for that than with the more powerful transformers than this one. This one is a bit. It sounds like Kiss and AC/DC and so on. So it's kind of other riffs. Not that it doesn't sound that good with palm mute. This one, so it's more classic. I would go with the 800 for the other stuff. for the Paul Muke kind of new wave of British heavy metal, and after that.
Yeah, that makes sense. You could just use a pedal and boost it a little bit.
Everyone did.
Right. Exactly. In Grind We Crust 2010. Thanks for the super chat. So excited to have Johan on. His demos and especially comparisons are some of the best on YouTube, recorded straight and no nonsense.
Yep.
Thanks.
I agree.
Glad
Definitely. That's I will say that's one of the things that I really like about your channel is there's not like 15 minutes of build up where like I find myself having to scroll and be like, okay, when's he's going to start? Like you just go through like the basics. You're like, okay, here it is. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go. And you start.
That's how I wanted myself also. It's kind of and it's kind of the concept that I described earlier, that the less I speak, the more interesting dialogue I will have in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
And there will always be something that you some new idea you can get from that. So you will all the stuff that I could potentially say in the beginning is always covered in the comments, and much more that I didn't know either.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it works very well, that concept, I think. And it's also subjective, the music. It's hard to describe something and kind of be able to stand by it the other day. So it's kind of as I said earlier, I'm not to be trusted when it comes to evaluating things.
Right. You ever go back in the comments and say, well, that's, I kind of thought this, or I thought that, or you never really kind of provide your.
I do that in the comments because there it doesn't. Then I'm one of everyone. I'm not. Because if I would do it in the video, it will be what is discussed. My opinion will be what's discussed, not the actual amp or speaker.
Right, but in the comments, you give your feelings. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Sweaty Van Halen again. Thanks for the super chat. Johan, for someone just getting into Marshalls, what non-modern Marshall head would you recommend in the $2,500 range? Non-modern Marshall.
Well, I in the 2,500, because I've seen the prices
have gone crazy.
whole lot higher in UK and in USA than they are here.
Yeah.
So maybe my aim here will be a bit off, but for that money I would get an early 70s super lead.
No, can't do that.
Yeah, it's not for 2,500.
That's what they cost in Sweden.
Yeah, no, I mean, pretty much even because I by the way, I do have one for sale. I have a 7,400 watt with a nice high voltage. That is $3,200 that I'm selling it for.
Yeah,
it's a really good sounding amp, super aggressive, really good, actually, surprisingly good for that era. I think it's a circuit board amp, but it's good.
Yeah,
and it actually has the 6550s that came in it. Well, not that came in it, but it has originally that amp came with 6550s. And I left them in because there were some good old GE ones that were still good that were in there. And it sounds great with that. Really less compressed, just brutal. Great sounding amp. So I have it for sale if anyone's interested. Contact me.
What would one of those cost? Say 1977 master volume amp. What would that cost in US?
Probably 2,500.
Yeah, then I recommend that amp. That's what I'm using myself, at least. So
that's a good amp with pedals and stuff too to boost it a little bit. That's a good thing. Because without pedals, I find that kind of amp to be a bit loose in the low end. I tend to, when I dial those in, well, first of all, you always have to, you can never turn the gain on 10. You always have to, because it has a bright cap on the gain pot, you really need it back a little bit around 6 or 7 to get it to cut a little bit more. And then I find that I run the bass on the lower side, and the mids tend to turn up higher, just to get some of the flubbiness that's naturally there in that amp out. But then most people hit it with a pedal like a Tube Screamer-esque pedal or something, or an old Boss OD1 or S Super Overdrive, which cut a lot of low end out. Mm-hmm. So that sort of fixes the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you miss a bit of the resolution with pedals. You miss a bit of the resolution of the tone. Yeah, mm-hmm. you tighten up the sound, but it's getting less 3D. Yeah. In some way. So I use pedals too. I have a KMB treble booster that I use sometimes, and I use the tone bender a bit as well. But I always think it kind of takes away information.
Mm-hmm. Well, it also depends on what kind of music you're going to play and what sort of volume you're going to play at. If you turn a 2203 like that up very loud to where you're distorting the power section, it's also very cool sounding. Because essentially, if you look at it, the circuit of that amp, it's kind of a plexi circuit with an extra gain stage added. So if you turn the master on 10, it's essentially out of the circuit. And it's essentially then a plexi with an extra gain, a low gain extra gain stage added. So if you do that, there's way more gain available in that amp.
Yeah, I usually run them almost flat out. But I, as you said, I almost always 8, something like that.
Yeah,
that's how I set them up, and then I back off on the guitar instead.
Yeah. That's a totally different thing than running the master volume low with it and how it sounds.
Yeah, indeed.
Drastically. Then it's a pretty gainy monster.
Interesting.
Of course, it's also on 10, so at that point you would probably need a power attenuator of some sort. Fryette power station maybe, or something like that. Sounds super cool that way when you crank it like that.
Even attenuator up there on top, right?
Yeah, the Iron Man. It actually
that's good.
So I run these amps flat out, and when you have it at the maximum setting, it's someone can sleep in the other room, you can play. And with these speakers in the Music Man cab here, these horseshoe speakers, you could record this and have a great sound. So it's really capable. Actually, this one sounds pretty good. With if you just use the preamp and put the master all the way down, but you get kind of a thinner sound then.
Yeah, less gain.
If you want the growl from the amp, you need to push push it all the way, and then you need an attenuator for it.
Yeah. Rippin' Lips, thanks for the super chat. I'm just here to hear Johan say kiss. Love you, Johan. When are you guys going to bring back Drunk Jake?
Well, good question.
Oh, that's
and Drunk Dave.
Drunk Dave too.
Toxic twins there for that show. Yeah, it only got worse too. So like I've said before, after we went to dinner.
That's funny. So Johan, we have to hear you say kiss.
Kiss.
There you go.
That's my favorite band. I'm a huge Kiss fan. The kind of benchmark tone for me is Kiss' first live album from 1975. it's a semi-live album. Some of the stuff is recorded live, and some of the stuff is recorded in the studio. Eddie Kramer did that album with them, and to me that's the benchmark of tone. Actually, he did the Rock and Roll Over with them as well, an Israeli solo album. I think all those albums are just amazing. That's the benchmark for guitar tone for me. I think it's mostly Marshalls, maybe some Fenders as well that they use there.
I'd have to listen to it. I mean, I have to be honest and say Kiss tone never really did it for me. For me, recorded Kiss tone, but that's just me.
But check out their first live album, because that's more like Jimi Hendrix or Led Zeppelin in that school. Then they kind of went through the disco era and back into the 80s metal era and all that. That's totally different Kiss. The first Kiss is up there with the greatest albums of all time, I think.
I'll have to check it out. I'll have to check out the album. What do you think, Dave?
Don't ask. I'm not a Kiss fan, really. So that's just me, and it doesn't mean anything. But it's not for me. Although there's been some great songs over the years and stuff that back in the 70s and stuff, and it was there was some cool stuff for sure. This is just not my thing.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean, some of the recorded, I'll go back to recorded Black Sabbath and recorded Aerosmith sounded kind of bland to me. Like the guitar tones weren't that great, weren't that stellar. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
That's another two of my absolute favorites, especially Black Sabbath. Tony Iommi is a big idol of mine.
I mean, I love the bands and I love the music. I just don't know if some of the tones for me were that epic. But
Aerosmith had some great sounds. I mean, the Rocks album is one of my favorites.
Yeah,
just
indeed.
Amazing record.
Yeah, that album.
Just sonically in general, the whole thing, drums and everything, just amazing sounding.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the first Aerosmith album.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Which one is was it called? Sweet Emotion? Which one is that? What was it called? The beginning with the bass, the Thunderbird bass.
Oh yeah, Sweet Emotion. Yeah.
Which album is that?
Back in the 70s?
Toys in the Attic, maybe.
Toys in the Attic. That's what.
Yeah, maybe.
Toys in the Attic.
I think they have. There's a great Marshall tone on that album.
I would agree. Yep. Vipas Patil, thanks for the super chat. I have a question about buying tubes. I can't physically go to a store and try out tubes. Can you suggest where and what brand of tubes I can get online that are reliable? Looking for 12AX7 and EL84s.
The question would be, what amplifier? So EL84s essentially. Okay, you're going to talk new EL84s. We're not going to talk about NOS tubes here. So as far as new EL84s, if it's a Vox amp you want to put them in, I personally prefer like a Sovtek EL84. There's more compression with that tube. If it was NOS, and my first choice for a Vox would have been EI EL84s, or Mullard even. But you can't really get that stuff anymore, not reliably. As far as another reliable EL84 that we use in, say, our amps, we use a JJ EL84 because we push them really hard, and they're the only ones that will actually survive, and they're less compressed. And they're punchier and more. With my amps, I'm trying to make those power sections sound more like an EL34 power section. So I want more headroom, punchier, less compressed. So it works perfectly for me, and that works well. 12AX7s, man, that's hard these days. Previously, I used to love Chinese 12AX7s for a modern tube that sounded great in old Marshalls and stuff. But unfortunately, they're not being made currently, and it's questionable whether they will be ever again. So that's what makes it difficult. So I would like to know what amp you're and what before I recommend something. I mean, there's a bunch of different ones that sound pretty good and work pretty well. It just sort of depends on the amp. There variations of certain tubes won't work in cathode followers of say Marshalls, or pretty much any cathode follower in any amp, including ours. The tubes that generally work in those positions that are available today are JJ, or Sovtek WAB or WCs work in those positions. Not much else. It seems to be the new EH7025 seems to be working in those positions because we are using those in our amps currently. But those tubes are slightly lower gain than the other tubes mentioned. Other tubes for the first slot in amps, Tongue Soul can be okay. It's a brighter tube. The new JJ E83CC is not a bad tube, although not totally my favorite. The new EH7025 can be good, a little lower gain though. It sounds good. A regular JJ and a high gain amp in the first slot works well because it's low microphonics, generally speaking. I don't tend to like JJ preamp tubes across the whole amp though. And then you start to get into discussions. There's different driver tubes that you can use in the driver section, which is like a long plate Sovtek LPS tube works well there. But won't work in a cathode follower and won't work in a first stage because it's too microphonic. There's some reissued Mullards that sound pretty decent. So what amp?
Yeah, let us know.
Preamp tubes are a hard one for me right now. It used to be I'd use Chinese across the board and something low microphonic in the first slot, meaning a Tongue Soul or a JJ or something. It just depends on how high of gain you're playing and what kind of amp it is.
Okay. Let us know, VPOS, and we'll be more specific. Jamie Stevens, thanks for the super chat. Thanks for the show, guys. Johan, many thanks for all your videos. Always enjoy your enthusiasm.
Thanks.
That's great. Thanks, Jamie. And then Larry Ann Music. Hi, how do I date my old Marshall Super Bass with the serial number SB10381? Hey, that was mine. No, I'm just kidding.
So it's a plexi then, if it doesn't have a letter after it. So it's a 10 series plexi. Are you sure it doesnn have a letter after?
Is it the 68 or what was
that would
Van
be
Halen's?
68-ish.
Yeah.
Van Halen would be a 12 series amp, but
okay.
but most of those, even the 10 series, were around 68.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it be a super bass based on that serial?
Yeah, it's. I mean, yeah. Well, if he says it is, it probably says it on the back, which doesn't necessarily mean anything anymore because a lot of them have been converted to super lead over the years.
Yeah.
But it is a plexi, so yeah, it's most likely 68. They're a little harder to date. Everything after 69 gets easier.
Sweaty Van Halen wants to know, Dave, how do I buy that from you? I guess he means the Marshall.
Oh, email me, friedmanamps@gmail.com.
We'll be in touch. Cool. John Pearson with the super chat. But I didn't see it. I don't see a question, though.
If you're just giving us money, thank you.
Yeah. Nice.
I'll take it, but I just didn't. I didn't see his question though. Let me just keep going back 1 second, if I can find it. Well, if I find it, I'll let you know. Alan Garber, what's going on? Yuan mentioned his taste for the tone bender. Has Yuan ever played through a vintage Mark II Solasound tone bender that achieves the Page's Little Games first Led Zeppelin album sound with a Telecaster?
I actually the only tone benders I played through is are these ones. This is, I think, is the first. It's 66. I don't know what. I think this sounds quite Zeppelin-ish, with especially with the right amp, and it's when you dial back the guitar volume, you get that crunchy, clean tones that I love. But I don't know. I'm really crappy when it comes to pedals. Simon got this one into his store, and when I tried it, I just bought it. So I'm not a reliable source on pedals, I'm afraid.
Gotcha. No problem. Zach Wish, great to see you on here. Love the show, guys. Thanks for all you do. Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. I'm looking around. I know that I want to make sure I get to them before we miss them. Chandler Motorsports. Yuan touched on the JMP versus JMP 800 debate. Can you guys weigh in on the nylon versus paper wrapped iron debate?
No.
Nylon versus paper wrapped.
Yeah. And so at some point in time, the output transformers changed to a nylon bobbin instead of a paper wrapped core. It's there, like I said, from the JMPs. Well, actually, they started doing the nylon core, I'm pretty sure, even before 800s came out. I think the late 70s had it. I mean, a transformer can be made on either core that sounds good. Question is, does it sound good? I saw the video that you did with a new output transformer versus an old output transformer in 100 watt, I think, early 70s amp, correct?
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, yeah, it's basically the same tone, but it's a bit brasher in the top end. It's a bit more metallic on the top end. Like even in your video, you hear it and it's like, okay, yeah, it's basically the same sound. It's the same amp. But there's some subtleties missing, some little bit of a richness missing from a newer output transformer. I mean, there's things like on reissue Marshalls that I work on, and sometimes people ask me to make them sound like, an older amp or the Van Halen sort of setup or something like that. There's a couple things I do in the amplifier to kind of compensate for that high end, that brashness on the top end. There's a couple little things I can do to make it a little richer sounding, and then it gets much closer. You can even do it to one of the 20 watt Plexi 20 watts that they make now.
The
which
Origin
are quite brash, actually.
The Origin one?
No. The same. They make an 800 and they make the Plexi 20 watt.
Right.
Studio series.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Those can be made really cool. Although that transformer is particularly bright. So
it would be interesting to know which has the most information. If you compare the the sound which has the most information, the old power transformer, a new one, because the new one it doesn't sound as 3D, but it has a lot more high end.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be interesting, and the reason why I'm asking is that I did the video on the new Celestian greenbacks a couple of weeks ago. So I played that one, and I played the original, and then I measured the frequency distribution, and then Cubase calculated how to put an EQ on the new speaker to make it sound like the old one. And it sounded basically exactly like the old one. So that led me to think that there is more information in the new speaker, since you could carve out the sound of the old speaker from the new one. So that's what I'm wondering about when you compare transformers also, because there's also a discussion. Do we use refined materials today that are kind of too digital? Everything is too perfect. Is that the part of it as well?
Well, yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the same steel today is more perfect with less imperfections as the steel that was used a long time ago. So, like for instance, in our output transformers, I actually use a different steel than was used originally to make it sound more like an old transformer. Because if I use the modern M6 steel like the output transformer should have, it doesn't quite sound like the old one. So I use like an M19 steel in the output transformer, which has a richer quality to it that make it's a little crappier, basically, of a grade.
Cool.
And it kind of mimics more like the older steel, so it's interesting. But anything, yes, like you said, you're comparing an old output transformer that has been used for 1 million years, also that has aged for 30, 40 years, however many years, and what effect does that have on it too? Just aged and rusted and everything else. And there's got to be some effect. And the same speakers too.
Yeah.
So I mean, a speaker, especially a speaker, an old greenback can sound awful. There's great ones, but then a lot of them are very tired sounding and not great.
Yeah, they're kind of loose. So there is
loose and mid-rangey and no top end and kind of just weird sounding. Like there's good ones and bad ones. So when you're comparing an old speaker, especially a speaker that's been used for so long, that's a hard comparison to a new speaker. It really is. And also, is the new speaker broken in at all?
Yeah.
Because a new speaker, I've done these tests. A new speaker broken in thoroughly really changes. The tone changes radically. And I've done it in 3-hour increments. So I've taken a cabinet and had my method was taking a 4x12 cabinet with new speakers and putting it face down on the floor, running 100-watt plexi into it on 10 with a loop. I made a loop and a looper pedal and just running through a guitar signal essentially through it. And we would run it like that at 3-hour increments. So it would run for 3 hours. We'd shut it off for a while. It's got to cool down and everything. And listen to it. And then we did another 3 hours and then listen to it and another 3 hours and then listen to it. And I got to tell you, it changes radically.
Yeah.
How it sounds. It gets much better over time.
Yeah, indeed. But it takes if you play loud after 60 hours, it's fully broken in.
Yeah,
I think after that it's only downhill. It's not going to sound better after that time. Then it's going to just sound. You're going to miss some of the dynamics over time.
So to get it properly broken in 60 hours, that's a long time.
Yeah. So I don't understand why not more companies offer pre-broken in speakers. I know Scumbags do that, for instance. I think I wouldn't want to spend 80 hours suffering with that unnatural hard top end that you get from most speakers when they're completely new. But I guess people value the fact that it's brand new more than it's actually good. So
yeah, the speaker thing, I mean, it's hard to do. I mean, on a large scale production like say we have or something, they can't do that. There's no way we could offer broken in speakers.
No,
I mean, maybe there's a way, but it, you know, there'd be a pretty massive upcharge.
Yeah,
on it. Like
probably.
Here you go, $500. We'll do it.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of time.
Yeah,
it's not. You know, and it's in a production line. It's impossible. It's just forget it. I mean, as a custom thing, maybe sure.
Yeah, wild. I wonder if there's an easier way.
You can't be around it either. It's a disaster trying to. I mean, you can do it with a Variac, which I don't know if that's worse for it, or you can do it with real music, like I was talking about, and real abuse. I actually kind of prefer that method. But either one, you can't really be around.
Wow, that's crazy. Greg Martz, thanks for the super chat. Dave, hoping this will put my SL68 at the top of your mod schedule.
Okay.
I don't know about that. We'll try.
We'll try. I'm actually getting a lot done. So you know, like if I've had your amp, it's nearing. It's probably. I'm trying to clear everything I have out. So,
cool. What speakers will be in a Friedman AC30?
Oh well, if we did a combo, it'd probably be. I don't think I'm going to do a combo. Like I'll do a head and a 212 when I do that. It would be the traditional blues, Celestion blues. I mean, you could have options. We could also put greenbacks in it if you like. Depends on what kind of sound you're going for.
Okay, I think I missed the super chat. BB messaged me. Okay. VPass was asking for Sir Badger. Those tubes.
I think he uses JJ power tubes in those generally. So probably the JJ EL84s. As far as preamp tubes in there, that amp, you can almost use anything because there is not a cathode follower in that amp. So, I know he would have used Chinese originally, maybe a JJ in the front. But you could use the Mullard reissues. You could use preamp tubes are really. You can sit there and play with them. You can buy some different kinds and listen, and you can sit there and play with them. And you know how it reacts exactly to that amp. I don't know because I don't have one. I haven't done that enough with that amp.
There was a discussion on Facebook the other day about the Synergy modules. And someone suggesting, like, what tubes should I put in my Synergy module to make it sound better? My opinion was, why bother? It's going to be such a minimal difference, at least my opinion.
Well, I mean,
I'm curious what you thought.
That's not necessarily true. I mean, you have the tube that's actually in your unit, SYN 2 or SYN 1. The first, that's an input tube that's common to all channels. Generally speaking, they use the JJ there because of microphonics and things. So you need a low microphonic tube there, but you could use probably the JJ is the best choice there. As far as the module goes, I mean, it used to be that they would use Chinese, like a JJ and then a Chinese tube for the cathode follower in the module. And that's a good way to do it. Although now, since those aren't available, I think it might all be JJ's right now, which might not be the best, but you can play with them for sure, and they do sound different.
Maybe my ears are just shot. That's probably more like it. And I just don't hear anything.
Although, I gotta say, sometimes you can, like in a comparison, you can retube an amp. Like, say I take two of my B100 Deluxes, retube them completely different than each other, and use an amp switcher to switch between them in real time, and then dial the amps in to sound like each other with the controls you have on front.
Mm-hmm.
And generally speaking, you can get it to sound exactly like one another. You do have controls on the amp. If you set them exactly the same and do the comparison with the different tubes, it sounds different, a little bit different. But then if you start tweaking
the knobs,
yeah, you generally can get it to sound the same.
This is an interesting comment from Warren. Didn't Glenn Fricker, Spectre Sound Studios, prove that there's no difference in tubes and it's a myth? Did he? I didn't see that.
Yeah, he had some video. I didn't watch it though.
I
don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily true. But what I just said kind of applies. You can, in some amplifiers, coax the same sound out of it just by turning the knobs. Now, in more vintage amps where you're cranking them all on 10 and you pretty much have no EQ, it's a little pickier. You don't quite have the same play with stuff.
Okay. I think we answered that, right? The speakers and the Friedman AC30. Yeah. Tyler Bertan, Nick Raskulinez, and Randy Staub would be great guests as well. I don't know those guys. Do you know them?
Yeah, I'm gonna work on Nick for sure.
They worked on Black Gives Way to Blue. Remember you guys talking about?
Yeah, Nick's a great producer that has done a bunch of the Alice in Chains records, most of them. Randy Staub mixed most of them till recently when Joe Barresi mixed one.
Cool. Was not aware.
Randy Staub's one of my favorite rock mixers ever.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he just makes things sound huge.
Sammy Tabib, thanks for the super chat. Same question about tubes for a Jet City JCA 20H.
Probably the JJ EL84s will work well in that.
Your take on EVM 112Ls with Marshalls?
Oh, that's a different sound, but a cool sound. I think EV can sound great in a Fender and or a Marshall. It is a definite sound from a Celestion for sure, but
it's the biggest sounding speaker of all. I think I compared an EVM 12L, JBL, D120F, and the G265, and the EVM 12L is basically the sum of the other two. So it's a really big speaker. So in technical terms, that's the greatest speaker of all time. I think it works with anything.
Yeah, it works well.
And you can I think the 200 watts you can just slam them pretty hard. I think that's the speaker Dumble uses mostly, that and J265. But the with Marshalls I want the rougher, grainier, maybe even fizzy if you put it that way, distortion. This is more sophisticated. It's more kind of fine-grained top end.
Right.
So it sounds a bit more modern. Marshall and the EVM 12L. One example of that is Zach Wilde, that plays with Ozzy. I think he has a signature model, but that's the kind of tone you get. So it's a really fat tone.
Yeah, exactly. But let me tell you, if you load a 4x12 with EV12Ls,
Yeah.
you better hire a couple extra people to carry it with you.
Yeah.
Because you're not moving it yourself.
No.
It's a backbreaker.
Gary Moore used that actually on Still Got the Blues. So he had a 4x12 with 4 EBM 12L. And
Yeah. I've loaded speakers. Neil Giraldo too. I remember loading a cabinet with EVs for him once, long time ago.
Yeah, he likes
God, it's heavy. Holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good though.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a question for you, Dave, from Bill Strange. He wants to know if he ordered a Runt 50 from Sweetwater, could he get it in white?
Yeah, it could be done. Sure. I don't know how long at this moment custom orders like that will take. You can order it through Sweetwater that way.
Okay. Cool.
Our standard white is kind of an ivory, so it's not white.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool white. It's awesome looking, classy.
Yeah. It's
looks really cool.
Right there.
Yeah, right there.
Nice amp. Really nice.
I love that amp. Drew A, you can only have one low gain amp and high output humbuckers, or high gain amp with low output humbuckers. If attenuators aren't an option, which do you choose? I know my choice.
Boy. Okay. If attenuators are not an option, okay, so that throws out old amps. I would probably use a lower gain humbucker with a higher gain amp.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, same here. Although I know the Kiss Alive tone that I love is kind of those are super leads with 6550s and pushed by super distortion pickups. Yeah. So and 6550 is a bit cleaner and more headroom than EL34.
Yeah. Like that 74 I have here that was for sale. I left the 6550s, and it was interesting. You know, it still sounds. We compared it, and it still sounds like an old super lead, but there's just with the 6550s, it's just less compressed. It's less smushy and more really brutal in your face, like just punchy. It's super cool sounding though. I said Pete Thorne and I were listening to it, and I said, and we were comparing it on an amp switcher to another amp. I'm like, man, one EL34 amp and one 6550 amp together, double tracked. That'd be great because you get the compression of the one and then the punch and girth of the other.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I've even put in Friedman BE Deluxe amps. I've put KT88s before too, and that's a great sound too.
Armando Diaz, hey Dave, how about releasing that "Shut the Fuck Up" amp you had planned a few years ago?
Not amp, it was an attenuator.
Oh, the attenuator.
Yeah, that's TFU. You know what? Here's the thing. I mean, we have the design technically, but we scrapped it because it was going to be expensive to make. And to be honest, there's stuff like the Fryette Power Station that just gives you some more bells and whistles, even that are even cooler. And I don't know if there needs to be yet another attenuator. You know.
I forgot about that. Yes, TFU attenuator.
Great name.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yes. Definitely. It fits with the
I
line.
might have to use that name for something at some point. There's something else. I don't know what yet, but you know.
A compressor. That's funny. Chandler Motorsports. Yuan, you've got back and forth, but you've settled on a number one amp, guitar and speaker combo.
I have.
Have you settled on number one amp?
that one is seeing the most action. Actually, both with the Strat and Les Paul and Flying V. It's the 2204. I think it's the it really works with my style of playing this for 70s rock. I prefer it through a Greenback G12H 30 55 hertz. I use a T1281 from 1971 in Marshall 1933 cab that I play with this one, and that's my favorite tone. And then I would use I did this one Les Paul R9 or 75 Flying V that I play a bit as well.
Awesome.
So you got to it's kind of a disease where to have too many options, because at the end of the day it is the music you write and record and so on that's the main thing. So you there has to be an amp that is number one that you kind of use as an operational tool, and then you can have the other investigations also. But if you have too many options, it's going to obscure your view to what is really important. That's how I feel about it. So this one sees a lot of action, and I use for clean tones. I use use the Vox instead, and then this 63 is I really like that one.
Cool.
That's great. Nicholas Kilmeyer, thank you. Love your show. Thanks. Would you please talk about how filter caps affect tone, and feel if they're all supposedly doing is flatting the rectified power into DC for a B+, tinkering with a couple of 800-ish kits?
Filter caps. The filter caps are interesting. Filtering on an amp. I'm just going to put this into kind of more layman's terms. Filtering in an amp is going to lower filtering is going to have softer, more compression, a little spongier attack, and will also provide you with some beautiful ghost notes, whether you like them or not. Like take it like an old AC30 was very low filtering, and it has all sorts of ghost notes and stuff in them. But personally, I love those ghost notes.
Yeah, same here.
Cool. And if you have too high of filtering, you can literally. I look at it. I look like too high of filtering. Although theoretically the amp gets tighter and punchier, at some point there's diminishing returns. If you go too far, it tends to suck all the life out of the amp also. It's almost like if you play a guitar amp in a completely carpeted room, top to bottom, such a dead room, nothing sounds good in the room. It's kind of like that in some respects. So, I mean, I don't know what 800s you're building, if they're 100 watts or 50 watts, because, what Marshall used is a pretty good guideline. You can play with some different things, like the preamp cap in a Marshall. You can mess with that, and that kind of gives you a little sweetness. Like if you lower it, it gives a little more sweetness and a little more compression. You can it depends on if 50 watt or 100 watt. It's hard for me to give you a guide on what works. 100 watt, essentially the first stage in 100 watt standard Marshall has two filter caps in series, so it's 50 microfarad because it puts 200 UF cans in series, and the second stage on the later filtering is also the same. And then the phase inverter cap is 100 microfarad, and then the preamp is dual 50 can. but you can mess with things. Personally, the screen filtering is the one that makes the difference in the 100-watt, I think. So you can lower the screen filtering. Original 12 series plexis had 233 mic cans in series, so it's 16 microfarad there, which is quite low, and you will get ghost notes for that for sure. But it has a really cool feel. It's an interesting thing. Messing with the screen filtering, it doesn't always make it less. Sometimes the higher screen filtering there will make the amp actually seem a little looser. It doesn't make much sense, but sometimes lowering it a little bit makes it a little tighter. It just depends on the amp. You have to listen. You have to listen. I don't know what circuit you're trying to build or what you're trying to do. So it's hard. It's totally hard for me to tell you.
Can you listen to an amp that feels like real stiff and know the kind of filtering that's in it versus one that feels
sort of? Well, it depends. Yeah, I mean, yes and no. Yeah, sure, kind of.
Okay. Vibhas Patil with a follow-up. Thank you. Follow question: do you think getting match tubes is worth the price? Can you please
explain? You need match tubes.
And explain what they are. So matched power tubes.
Matched power tubes. Yeah, not preamps. Don't bother with that bunch of bull. I mean, you don't really need to do that because nothing's really matched. I mean, a matched phase inverter tube, it doesn't really matter because later in the circuits it's not matched anyway. So yeah, that's not necessary. Matched power tubes are pretty necessary because otherwise one's going to draw way more current than the other. I mean, although some say mismatched power tubes sound better. So that's an interesting video maybe for you. That's actually, that would be a great video.
I kind of with Mark when it comes to tubes, like you discussed earlier. Yeah. I don't when it comes to the sound, I don't hear that much difference, but it's important to the playability.
Yeah.
So it's kind of to the recorded result. You may have to struggle if you haven't matched tubes or if you haven't set the bias correctly or all that. But the sound itself, I mean, it's the same basic sound. I think just a bit other dynamics, and it may support different frequencies differently. You have to adapt with the playing there. But it's a philosophical question. What is tone and what is playing? And it's kind of how to divide that.
Yes, true.
Right.
And different people need different things to keep their hands happy.
Right.
True. And keep them inspired, right?
So indeed.
Yeah. Michael Toran, hope you're doing well, buddy. Says basically Glenn's video said the difference was only in gain between tubes.
I'd have to watch the video to even know. Tubes, I mean, they do make a difference. But again, like I said, you often could dial the amp in differently to make it sound exactly the same. So it's more like what's reliable. what tubes are currently reliable is more of in my realm, you know.
Right.
Yeah, and then what you said before also, when you push an amp to the maximum, and then at that there it can be the differences between.
Yes.
But it's hard to. Well, maybe we could do a video about that. You need to. It has to be more scientific than my videos usually are to be able to. You have to have some kind of control on.
Well, I did a video with Pete Thorne about EL34 power tubes, and we did in the same amp a bunch of EL34 power tubes, same riffs, same recorded things, and there's differences in the tubes. I mean, some people say they can't hear it. I hear it, but then again, some people can't hear things like that. So are they all similar? Yes, they're all similar, but some things you have to listen. some things are a little more mid-rangey, some things are a little more scoop sounding, some are a little brighter, some are a little fuzzier, some, but that was a fun shootout. At least we did tubes that were kind of available.
I want to check it out.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Slap Hand was just a donation to the channel. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Super Chicks. Hope you're doing well. What's up, boys? Hope you're doing well. Dave, Yuan is the reason I got my twin sister combo. Most demos had way too much gain and sounded too modern for my style. I like the old school sound, and all your amps can do it in spades.
Oh, yeah, that was a great video.
Oh, thanks.
Yes.
And a great amp.
That sounded fantastic.
Yeah. Super Chicks again. Gary was a badass. Played loud. I guess Gary Moore we're talking about.
Yep.
And wonderful player.
Yeah, I love Gary Moore. You know, one of my favorite Gary Moore albums is Blues for Greenie.
Oh, yeah.
I love that album. Just all for Peter Green. Michael Torin, what are your thoughts on the EV SRO coffee can speakers?
I haven't tried those yet. Actually, I got the chance, but it Simon had sold it before I got the chance to try it. But I think those are the predecessor to EVM 12L. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So
I've never tried
it.
BV, thanks so much for posting this. If you guys check out our link again for Sweetwater, remember it's Guitar Month, and check out all the deals and exclusives that they're doing there. And you can click our link, and we'd really appreciate it because it helps out the channel, keeps us going. Let's see, John DeShane. Damn it, Dave, can you send me a set of KT88s now?
You can buy a set of KT88s.
Oh, man, that's funny.
I think I used when I did that, I used the EH KT88. Seemed to sound pretty good.
And Mark Nicholas agrees. That's a great name for an attenuator.
Yeah.
Joe Bonamassa would have been a great guest. Joe Bonamassa will be a great guest.
He will be a great guest. We'll make that happen.
Yeah, it'll happen one day. He started his own channel for a little while, so
yeah.
Sloppy Fingers, thanks for your super chat. Thank you for this channel, Dave. I own an older Pink Taco. I found it too dark, but since I upped the treble, more instant presence. Favorite amp in my stable. Yeah, just turn those knobs.
You can turn the knobs. Yes, you can. That amp is a dark amp. It's voiced that way. There's actually a way to make it brighter, but there's a particular cap in there that can be changed. But I kind of voiced it that way for a reason on that particular amp.
Why was that? Just out of curiosity.
It just felt and sounded right with the thing I was kind of going for. That has no negative feedback in it, and it's a cathode biased amp. I don't know. It just sounded kind of smoothed it out nicely, made it sound cool.
Sammy Tabib, any thoughts on Mesa Barbara amps? Sound like SLOs with more options. Could Mike Soldano evolve on the SLO in the same way?
Mesa Barbara is mostly a Soldano circuit. In fact, even some of the earlier ones, you looked inside and it almost was built the same. Sure. Soldano can and probably will come out with some things that will be, newer and more modern.
Cool. I have an SLO 30 on the way.
Ah, cool.
I ordered it, by the way. I think I told you, right?
Yeah, I think you were talking about getting it. Yeah.
Yeah. David Lee. Thanks for the super chat. Dave, is the JJ Jr. the best of your 20-watt amps for a Voxy clean with an EVH drive channel, you can clean up Eddie style when you roll the guitar volume back?
Probably. I mean the Runt 20 the clean channel's the same. But yeah, the JJ is probably the best choice for what you just described. Sure.
Yep. Got one right here.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. That's the amp I use when I play with a band. Very
light,
exactly.
Easy to move.
Yes, very. Dave, any easy mod tips to make a 2204 a little nastier? Your go-tos, changing value, bright caps without going too deep?
Nastier. What does that mean? More gain? I mean, easy. Not that doesn't take it away from what it is. Sure, there's ways to do it, but I don't know what nastier means. More gain, I'm assuming it. You're probably better off just boosting it with something.
So Johan, let's talk guitars. So what's that Les Paul you got next to you? What year is that?
That's a 2008 R9. I think it's the Voss model. I don't know if they still have Voss. It's kind of not as blank as the other ones. This was actually not a good vintage. I don't think the other guitars from around this era was that especially good. But this unit I just loved. So I've kind of stuck with this guitar. They became better after 2013. I thought the custom shop Les Pauls got a lot better, and they were good in the beginning. I know I played a couple of 2003s that has been really good as well. And they came with burst buckers 2 and 1, but I switched to the Seymour Duncan All-Inco 2 Pro here. So the kind of slash uses, and I love that pickup. It has the sparkly bright tone.
Yeah, it's a good pickup.
Yeah.
What do you think of the newer Les Pauls that are coming out now? Have you tried any of them?
I think they have gotten better. I mean, they after 2013, the guitars has been really good. When it comes to the newest guitars, we can ask Simon later. He's mixing in the other room here. He sells lots of those. I don't know actually, but the guitars I've tried have been great, but they've been custom shop guitars mostly. Collector's choice and those.
Yeah. I know that they were having some problems with the Murphy Lab. Some of those that were coming out, but I'm not sure. I haven't tried them. Helios 3000. Hi, Dave. Currently use a Wildwood 20 and Dirty Shirley 20. How would you suggest using these with a torpedo cab M+, or is it smarter to use one of your pedals?
I'm not sure what you mean by pedals. Torpedo cab M is a cabinet IR box.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just want to use the cab M, you just place it between your head and speaker cabinet. If you don't have a speaker cabinet for this, you need like a Captor X or something that has a load built in. You might be referring to my cabinet emulator box that I make when you said pedals. I mean, the cab M is fantastic, and there's going to be some future cabinets pack from Pete Thorne and myself coming. So,
yeah, when's that coming?
It's coming. We did them. I don't know how soon.
Sammy Tabib, and of course, thank you for everything, amps, videos, and thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah,
really appreciate it. Let's see. I'm not sure if we're going to have time to talk to Simon Yuan. We'll probably go for like another 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Let's see, Yuan, what did you feel the Meshuggah amp had going on that an Ecstasy or a Plexi couldn't do?
It was you could probably dial in similar sounds with the other amps, but it was just brutal. I just loved playing it. I usually to say something more profound about stuff, I usually have to play them back to back. As I told you earlier, I'm not reliable source when it comes to sounds. But I really like that that amp. I think I played that through Fredrik's 4x15 wall. So it was so it sounded that was a big part of that tone as well. I have one 415, but he has two. So it was a really amazing tone. But you, I mean, you can most tones can be gotten with a lot of different ways. So yeah, probably you could get it from another amp as well.
Have you tried a Fortin modded Marshall yet?
I haven't done that myself, but I know that Fredrik has an amp that's modded by Fortin that he likes. I haven't done it myself yet, though.
Right. Just curious. Mark Nicholas, I lived near Edinburgh. In the 80s, there were guys exporting Marshalls to the States. Any stories about UK imported classic amps from the UK?
Well, as far as I mean, I don't know if I really have any stories about that. I remember guys that used to do it. I remember one particular guy that I was friends with that was from Michigan, that he used to bring all sorts of amps over in the 80s from England when they were had very cheaply. And I had gotten a bunch of amps from him over the years. He later was one of the founding people in Matchless amps with Mark Sampson. And then I lost track of him. I don't know what ever happened to him.
David Lee, Yuan, your video on the Vox AC15 hand-wired 1X made me get a Vox AC15 H1 TV. Not exactly the same, but and remember how much I like it. Thank you.
Yeah, glad to hear it. I really like that that amp.
Yeah, the hand-wired is good.
Just to joy to play it. It really felt like fingers are connected to the speaker cone or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just beautiful.
Mark's guitar, beards, and Kemper profiling amp. I genuinely apologize when I just tuned in, but I'm not so sure I know your guest today. His voice makes me want to suit up and grab my sword and get on a wooden ship and pillage and plunder.
Yeah, it sounds like my ancestors.
That's awesome.
Glad to hear it.
I wasn't sure where that was going, but when I read it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna.
I was afraid there for a while.
Yeah, so was I as I was reading it, but then I got to the end. I was like, okay, that took a different turn.
Yeah,
that's funny. Internet selling. How good is the Marshall SV20 to mod? Is there a better amp option to mod? What would your mod options be? Thank you. Love the show. Thank you.
SV20 you can do all sorts of stuff with an SV20 or the whatever they call the 20 watt 800 version of that same amp. I mean, they're almost the same internally, just slightly different circuit, obviously. But you can you can almost do anything to those. They come out really good. I recently did one for someone that was wanted it to be more like a vintage amp, and more like the cranked up Plexi Van Halen-y sort of thing, and it came out great. Really quite good. Pete and I compared it to some vintage amps, and just to make sure it was in the ballpark, and yeah, it came out great.
That's good to know. Johan, what's your favorite bassman type circuit?
Well, it's the 59 5F6A, I think it's called. It's but it's I that may be because of the speakers. They had Jensen P10R in those amps, so it was the lower watt Jensens. That's my favorite, one of the favorite amps of all time for Strat for me. I think it's beautiful sounding. I don't have a 59. My friend Ragnar Christensson has one that I often have on the channel. But that's my favorite. And then I play it when it comes to more hard rock, the AB 165 circuit. I really like that one. It's much midier. The 5F6A is drier sounding. So it depends what speakers you're going to use it with. But with the Jensen P10R, then it's the 5F6A, and with greenbacks, it's the AB 165. We actually did compare those two through the same greenback cab, and then I thought the AB 165 actually held up well against the 5F6A, but with the Jensens, it's nowhere near it. That's the greatest amp I think of all time for a Strat sound.
That's cool.
Excellent. Tone boner. I'm such a child. I laugh at everything.
I am too.
Yeah, Johan, I have a Marshall 1984A 4x12 cab with G1280 speakers. Not a lot of info on these. What can you tell me about it? Dave, any experience with these as well?
I have a cab of those actually. I think it's bass speakers because they're very scooped. The middle is, it sounds great metal speakers, rough, maybe thrash metal and so on. But for ordinary hard rock, I prefer the ones with the ordinary 1777 or 444 cones. This one, I think they're called 1102 cones in these ones. So great for bass and great for thrash metal and so on, but not as good for standard hard rock.
I mean, I would agree with everything he just said. So,
okay.
Well, one of my favorite speakers, though, that I have a late 70s checkerboard cabinet here with the original 65 watt Celestians. I think that's a fantastic speaker. Also, it was interesting. It was we did this speaker IR capture thing recently, and that was one of the cabs, and it was interesting to hear it read against some of the a regular blackback and some other things, and it was a very cool sounding cab.
Those are great. It's because then you get basically the old greenback tone, not less fizzy and with a tighter bass, and with the pleasant that you can take a 50 watt and crank it into one single 65 speaker. So it's really really good speakers, but they don't have the sizzle top end that the greenbacks have. That's the downside.
Little smoother on the top end. Yep.
By the way, everybody, make sure you subscribe to Johan's channel. So Johan Segeborn, and that's his channel right here. So make sure you check that out and subscribe. It's a great channel.
Great channel. You can go down a rabbit hole watching the videos on it. There's a lot of videos.
Yes. Great stuff. Yuan, I have a late, by the way, Christopher Butler, thanks for the super chat. I have 2 late 80s EVM 12L speakers, one in a Pacific Woodworks 1x12 field ported cab, and a non-matching smaller Sonic 1x12 EVTL 806 design cab. Which style head will they not sound good with? Wow, that's tough.
I mean, it's just the EV. Plug your amp in and see if you like it.
Yeah, it's what we discussed earlier a bit with the Electro Voice. It's depends on what tone you want. They are much bigger sounding. I think it's kind of the sum of a G265 and a JBL D120F. They are that big sounding, these speakers, maybe a bit darker than JBL. But since they are so big sounding, it can sound a bit too slick and too smooth to some people. So if you like me, for some riffs would like a kind of a rougher, simpler 70s hard rock tone, then maybe these are too modern sounding. But I think Mesa Mark series, that's the perfect amp for these speakers. And I don't know if there's some speaker that's going to sound bad with them, but it's going to sound too modern for many, and kind of if you have a small hole in some mix, maybe you don't want a big sounding speaker like this. Maybe you want a speaker that has some kind of small frequency top that sticks out that you can put in that hole. So it's more consideration like that. It's basically the most competent speaker of all that I've tried.
Awesome. So we're gonna end the show soon. Pete Thorne's about to go live too. I don't want to compete with Pete. But let's quickly go through what we have left. Super Chicks, Yuan, please go back to Plexi Masters and do some more Black Flag clips, please.
Yeah, I love that. His
collection is sick. Thanks. By the way, nobody's drinking.
I didn't dare.
Yeah,
sorry. It's early. It's so early for me. I just like.
It's a tame show today. So
I'd love to Pleximaster and I are good friends, and I often visit him. His collection is amazing, but more so his own amps are just amazing. His Clubman amps, and he's actually building guitars now as well. So which also sounded great.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I will do a new video with him soon.
Awesome.
Cool. This question's for me. Internet Selling, thank you. Can you explain what you like and dislike comparing the Splon you had comparing to your Friedman, and why you prefer the Friedman? Thank you. All right, so I had a Splon Quick Rod amp, and I had that for a few years. It was a great amp. It's definitely a good amp. There's no doubt about it. I think some of the things that I liked better on Dave's amp was the master volume. I think the Splon sounded really good loud, but low volume, it sounded too stiff, and I don't know. It was a very stiff amp. That was one thing. I think Dave's amp has a little bit more, it's a little more sag to it. And I didn't like it in lower volume. When it was pushed, it sounded better. So that's for me. But it was, I wanted it for that Van Halen thing, and it definitely could do it. I just like Dave's voicing of his amps a little better, in my opinion. So that's my opinion. It's funny because I always wanted a Friedman amp for like years. For years. I'm going back to the gear page, and then I couldn't afford it. So the reason why I got the Splon was because it was like the poor man's Friedman. That was kind of how I thought of it. Now, no knock on Splon amps, but that's how I thought of it. I was like, well, I can't afford the Friedman, so I'm going to get the Splon. So hope that helps. Let's see if there's any other questions that we have before Pete goes live here. I think I got them all. I think I got all the questions. So like I said, guys, you got to check out Johan's channel and subscribe. And it's just Johan Segeborn?
Yeah, Johan Segeborn.
Okay. Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, look it up.
Check it out. He's got awesome videos, so please go to his channel and subscribe.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And make sure you guys please check out Sweetwater. All right. And
Yeah, check out Guitar Month.
Yep. They've got a lot.
See what's on sale.
I'm definitely going to get that.
Buy yourself some new toys.
The Jeff Archer boost. I want that.
Cool.
I definitely want to get that. So, and Johan, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. I'm really nice to be on.
Yeah. To have discussion with you about amps and tone and stuff like that. So what's your closing question? What's like some of your, I know you said Kiss is like some of your favorite tones. Are you like a Van Halen fan or is that some of your, some of your favorite tones as well? Or is it more 70s?
No, I love Van Halen. Van Halen is like 70s tone on steroids. It's a beautiful Marshall Greenback tone, and so it's the same tone, but just
blown up,
so saturated and punchy at the same time. So I love Van Halen. The tone he had on Unchained, and just amazing, and the playing.
Yeah, of course.
The unmatched guy.
Yeah.
And are you a Jimmy Page fan as well? You're a big Jimmy Page fan?
Yeah.
So Aerosmith,
Definitely.
Jimmy Page, Kiss, Van Halen.
Yeah. Electric Light Orchestra. And 70s.
Yep.
The 70s guys.
Cool.
Black Sabbath. Yeah. It's right up my alley.
Indeed.
I think we're all the same age too. I'm 52. How old are you?
I'm 49.
49. Yeah, we're all
We're all roughly the same age.
Yeah, we all grew up on the same music. So
people usually think I'm older because of the gray beard, but that's I'm 49.
Well, 49. You're approaching the big birthday.
Yeah.
It all goes downhill after 50.
I guess.
I'm just kidding. I had to join a gym. From it's like after 50, it's like, oh, you got to start working out now. So, but hey, I really want to thank everybody for watching the show, and make sure you subscribe. Our next guest, Dave, Dina was saying you're not available on the 18th next weekend.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna be.
Okay,
I'm gonna be in Las Vegas.
Cool. All right, so then the next guest is Saturday the 25th. We're having Rich Rankin from James Tyler Guitars.
Great.
And that'll be a great show. And then the following week after that, then we'll have an Ask Dave show. So,
yep.
All right. Thanks so much, you.
Awesome, guys.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Everybody have a great weekend.
Now everyone go to Pete Thorne's channel, watch his stuff.
Yes. Hang on, you on while we say goodbye.